kind of setting that up and all that.
Yeah, setting it up because the gallery space is totally different. In Venice we have 4 rooms and the courtyard.
That's right.
And then coming back, we only have 2 rooms in the bamboo gallery.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is Esteban Cabeza de Baca. He's an American artist. We, got to know him through Yujin.
So I went to Colombia together with him. He was a year above me.
Yeah. So I first saw his works at his MFA graduate show, but this is the second piece that we have of him. It's a recent work, and he has an interesting background because he's like a quarter Native American heritage, and he also has different like mixed heritage as well. But he kind of refers to his Native American heritage a lot. And this is a desert called Chaco Desert in New Mexico, and basically you can see the canvas is a little bit it looks like a tie dye. So he actually used the dye pigment called the cochineal, which is like back in the day was a very prized, like used from the bugs that you kind of like make into the dye, natural dye, and then so he made a tie dye, and then that after canvas dried off, he layered paint over it. So you can kind of see like 3 or 4 different layers. But I really wanted to talk about like the travel between different times and space. Yeah. So it just kind of the way the technique you use kind of give you that literal layers. But
when you bought this, like he just did the Art21.
Art21, yeah. So this piece, he has you can find his interview on Art21.
It's a really good one.
And this piece is actually in this. So if you want more information, there's. Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah. So you can also see the references of like the Native American kind of like the symbolism and they are very marginalized in the U.S., right? And I think I'm always very interested in the voices of the marginalized people, in general. So you can kind of see it through our collection, but I think it's a very distinctive voice, and just aesthetically, he kind of makes it and also a lot of things are happening in New Mexico if you think about it, like the borders makes you think about like over the time. Like, what was this land really, right?
The landscape is slanted, so it has a very disorienting
view.
Like this idea of like, not like a singular timeline, but like
you're traveling through the timeline. I feel like,
but not in like a singular way. Yeah. In between the landscape, you see some figures like in the orange spot. Yeah. So there's like this multiple layers of the world kind of coming together.
History and layers of time and space. This is Aki Sasamoto. Yeah. So I acquired this last year from Art Basel. I saw her work first at Parasite, and I talked to Yujin about her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, she's a great artist." So I started watching.
I loved her.
All her like Vimeo. Yeah. I got too excited, and then I got this one. There's another one hanging up there. But,
Jina got very excited about it.
Yeah, but I really loved her performance. And this is actually a one from when she was doing a residency at Calder Institute. And this was actually during COVID. So she said she didn't have anyone to help her because everyone was locked down. So she actually made all this by herself. She made the door, the structure. She put the paper in it. But basically, she set up this huge structure that looks like a house with like empty roof, and she had a lot of sliding doors, kind of like thinking about space. But in the performance, if you see her performance, she was like taking the door out of the space, in the space, sliding it through, and then she was like poking into it, writing on it. But yeah, so I think the piece is called Squirrel. The performance is called Squirrel Doors or Squirrel Ways. She put the lures in there because she said her husband is a fisherman. So there's a reference to the everyday kind of objects that from her life.
I mean, she's also super interesting because I always consider her a performance artist. But of course, whenever I saw really amazing performance in New York, it will always appear, like the objects will always appear in the art fair right after. So obviously there's like the like a art object quality to the objects.
Yeah.
So even in this like residency, she was at the color like residency. I mean, she's considered kind of like she's an interesting artist that is like in between the two genres of sculptural and more object based. But then they need to be activated through her performance, and then after the performance, the object somehow carries the aura of the performance. You know, so there's this like continuity between the genres. I really. Yeah. I always thought like she's the best artist that I know that does that.
The best? What about Rirkrit? That's exactly
but Rirkrit actually, if you talk to Rirkrit, he always kind of the objects that he used in the performance are not meant to be this kind of sculptural objects, but her objects are meant to be, I think, sculptural to carry that aura. I think I don't know in my personal like kind of conversation with Rirkrit. Of course, they appear in the fairs or in the market, but he really considers them. I mean, so even like the show that he did in Jeju, all the objects he just left there. I asked him, I said, "Do you want your gallery to take them?" And he's like, "No." I mean, first of all, they didn't fund it. He's like, "No, just keep it here." So like for him, it's not something that needs to be have that aura, carry that aura, because the aura should be carried by people. Am I idealizing it?
In some ways, though, you've seen the performance. You know, like Rirkrit's, you've also participated in it, and then the way it's just left there, it reminds you of
that's
the
true.
moment.
That's true.
Together, much like Aki's, object that she's activated.
But it's also different because Aki is like performance. She's very important figure in the performance. She's the narrator, right? It has to be her. It can't be anybody else. Whereas in Rirkrit's, it doesn't really matter who the performer is. So the artist's aura is more carried in the objects because you know that she moved them. She had this dialogue with the objects, you know? So, challenging question, Olivia.
Curator.
I really noticed that.
So this is a Korean artist called Jong Oh, 오종 작가. And this is actually from Dusan, one of the shows that he did in Dusan, right? Creates space, this is like empty void and space, but he like makes he's making use of the space as
so
he's
in some ways you would never look at that corner, but then the
until,
object, the small gesture create visualizes that empty space. So when I went to see his show in Dusan, basically it seems like you're entering an empty space. And then like if you look a little bit closer, spend a little time, you see little gestures throughout the space, and then you suddenly see the space differently. So it's like a very interesting and also very unique, because nowadays I feel like in the Korean art scene especially, like the artworks are very bold and you catch them immediately. There aren't these subtle artworks.
So a lot of guests
very
who
rare.
come to our house, they sit here and they're like, am I imagining things or is it something up there? And then they go and see and they're like, oh, it's actually hanging from it's not a drawing, but it's a hanging from the top. And so people sometimes think, is that like a drone on the wall? Or so that's kind of that visual illusion as well.
Because there's a shadow,
Exactly. It's so delicate as well,
And it's very highly technical, like the material that he uses. It's very particular. So it looks simple, but the way it's made is actually a bit more complicated.
And it's hanging by like a fishing, you can see the tape.
Very well.
It's a good spot.
I taped it. I just taped it. Scotch taped it.
That's what he said. Like you should go.
What's the material?
It's like a wire, and then this is like a metal kind of chain.
It's
It's a chain. This is a wire. So he
It's not easy to hold such a straight line.
He is really good, and I think he's represented by a Spanish gallery.
Sabrina Amrani, gallery. He's now making a lot of like object with lights as well. So
he's using
a lot of lights as well.
It's very architectural. He does shows also in like not just white cube, which makes it interesting.
A few years ago in a Chen somewhere near over there, he had a show filled with like a lot much larger scale artworks that involved with light bulbs.
Yeah.
Much larger, and the one that she picked is much earlier.
Yeah, this is earlier
This
work.
is like way before he
Yeah.
started appearing in like the Korean art fair.
This is Daisy Parris. She's a British artist. She's pretty young, represented by Sim Smith. But basically, I think she it's kind of color expressionism. She's influenced by a lot of these female artists who, uses color fields as kind of a way to express the emotion. Yeah, but I mean, it's very raw, and she's like, it says sorry, and she uses text and colors and like, so it's kind of abstract expressionism, but
I don't know that one.
has a references to artistry as well, and just visually quite powerful. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jenny Holzer. This is we love this piece. It's like Jay and I share same kind of sense of humor, and we first saw this and it was like, oh, we should get this. Yes, it's Jenny Holzer's work from the 80s. Yeah, it's an edition of 20, I think. Yeah, basically, one of her tourism series. If you're in political, your personal life should be. This is Hyein Lee, Korean artist. Personally, believe she's a really good painter, and she kind of paints in a very traditional way, where she kind of sits there and then kind of, finishes the painting in that moment. So this is a small piece she did like years ago that I actually got through Yujin's friend, who's an art advisor. But I saw, I saw it, and I have another piece hanging in Roma's room. Smaller piece. But there's a funny story about the bigger piece that I acquired recently, because I was moving into a bigger place, and I measured all the elevator and everything, and I was like, oh, this is gonna fit. So I told her, I want this, and so I, acquired it directly from the artist. And then she was excited, and I was like, that work was actually kind of made on the ground in the field, the rice field.
She likes to do plein air.
Yeah, plein air.
So she will bring canvas and just put it onto the floor.
So it's like a 2-meter canvas on the floor, like with all the sand and everything, like dirt, and she just paints over it.
Really
So
like
that you actually have like the dirt on the canvas. And when she installed it for the show, she hung it like as a canvas on the wall, so without any stretch or frame. And then I was like, well, if there's a sand and stuff like that on the, can I roll it and transfer? Like it might fall down, right? So I was like, should we stretch it before we transport it to Hong Kong? And she was like, yeah, maybe like if you're gonna hang it in your house, then maybe we should stretch it and frame it. So the artist actually helped me frame it. She like chose the frame and so
Bigger.
it got bigger.
It didn't fit.
And then it didn't fit in the elevator.
What do you do then?
So it's been
It's
in the
my
storage.
I haven't even seen it.
Never
I'm
even
like,
hung once.
This is like one of my, still like, I think about it, I want to cry. But, and then I tried to put, like, I asked the handlers to, can you do it by stair? I'll pay, right?
Yeah.
I was living on like 18th floor or whatever. And I was willing to pay. And then they're like, so they tried. And then in the staircase, in the middle, they got up to like 5 or something. And then the staircase height suddenly got shorter for some reason. And I was like, right? And then they were like, yeah, we can't do it. It's like, it's not gonna work. So they brought it down, they back to storage, repacked it, back to storage. So they unwrapped everything because they were trying to make the,
But this artist, she either paints this really tiny or really big.
yeah.
So it's like there's no in between.
Yeah.
And also the unique thing about her is that she paints the same landscape over and over again. She lives in this like outskirts of Seoul, like Goyang, which is a bit further north. And she lives in this, at the time when she was younger, it was underdeveloped. It was like rice fields and things like that. But past 10, 15 years, it started developing really fast. Yeah. So she saw like how it changed, the rice fields changing into like high rises or like apartment complex. So she keeps going back to the same spot and painting the same spot and see how it changes. So I like that she has this personal relationship to the site and that it's a long-term relationship as well.
Yeah.
She recently, last year, she had a show. She had a two-person show.
Oh yes,
She's
yes,
very
yeah.
active in
She was
Korea.
also in Songwon show this year. Yeah.
That was my favorite piece in the entire song.
Yeah. Let's She's eating by herself, so I don't think she wants to come out. She'll come out and then like, yeah, no touching, and she knows. No touching.
Oh,
So
that's very
to
good.
this day, she doesn't touch any of the artworks.
Oh, I just realized it's screen next to a screen.
Yeah. That as well. Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting because a lot of like my friends, they ask, they're like, oh, I want to really start collecting artwork, but like I have a baby or like a dog or cat. Like, is it possible to live with them?
Yeah.
And you are actually managed.
Train early.
Train early. Train early when they start walking.
Actually, I think Tucker touches it more than Roma with his tail.
Yeah.
He just like the painting, the work, but I think he was a little bit careful. He's a German artist, German photographer.
Korean born.
Grosse, yeah. He's adoptee, Korean adoptee. Yeah.
These are taken in Jeju.
Yeah.
So
This part
he
of the
did
show. Yeah.
he did a residency with me 2020 during COVID. He stayed 3 months, and he's usually more like a cityscape photographer. And he has his first photo book called Hanguk, which means Korea. And I got to know his work through this book that I got when I was in Berlin. And it's a photo book that's made after 7 years of kind of traveling back to Korea, first to try to find his family. He couldn't find them. So he said he closed that chapter and decided to get to know Korea through the camera lens. So he doesn't speak any Korean. So he said that all the language didn't was useless for him. The only thing that made sense to him was what he saw and could capture in his camera.
It's really
So he traveled all over Korea. He also traveled to Jeju and took photos of people, and then he made it into this book. It's so beautiful, and I was like, I immediately fell in love. I was like, I want to meet this artist so bad. And I follow him on Instagram. And then one summer, he was in Seoul in the same year that I was in Seoul, same summer. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm real good, like fan of your work. I'm an artist as well. Like I would love to meet you and stuff. So we met in Hongdae, and then we took a little walk, like 1 hour walk in the park. And he was like very German, you know, he's like very close. He wasn't like American, like hey,
Like a
whatever.
friendly.
Yeah. But he talked about his work in a very poetic way.
This is the quote. It's actually really beautiful. Right?
So when I started the residency in 2019, I really wanted to invite an international artist, and I immediately thought of him. I was like, I want to invite him. So I reached out because at this point we're not really friends with him once, but in a very like mini show. And so I invited him, and he said, "Oh, actually, like I."
Yeah, so when you come into the house, this is like the first thing you see, like Kang Seng Lee. Yeah, and that's why I kind of wanted to be here. I really like his work.
Beautiful work.
This was from a show in Korea, Gallery Hyundai. He did a solo show there. I think this was a series where he found like artists, like gay artists, who were known for their work, but then their identity wasn't necessarily the thing that was kind of forefront of their lives. But this is a photograph of Ko Chu-san. Like he took it from a photographer, Ko Chu-san, who is a Singaporean, I guess, born a choreographer / dancer. He was really known for his choreography using a lot of hands. So that's why he obliterated everything else but the hands. Yeah. So he was known for his work, but then his identity as a gay person, and he later died of AIDS, HIV, and so I think Kang Seng Lee is trying to think, okay, well, like who is this person really? I mean, I think it's just beautiful, yeah, and really, yeah.
And also, Jina, when you started collect the focus on like works on paper, drawing.
Yeah.
So I always, when I see really good drawing, I'm always thinking, wow, like she has such a, like that's where the collection began. So
I mean, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, drawing or prints are the
not as valuable or something.
second, whatever level of medium. Yeah.
Just never.
Yeah.
It's
I don't think
not,
so.
yeah. Really
And-
love drawing.
yeah. And so
works on
I
paper.
find it very exciting when I find artists who actually takes work on paper as the main medium, and they really work on it. So he's one of those artists who's not afraid of, I mean, he just I think he does mostly drawings
Yeah.
on different like paper. He uses skins and different like base. But yeah, it's a great draftsmanship.
He was in the Venice.
He was in the Venice.
Yeah,
Whole
right?
room was his works. Yeah, with like
This
installations.
past one, right?
Yeah. This one. Yeah, this year. And I thought it was really interesting to juxtapose Jia next to it because his experience is all about being a gay man in China rural area, working as a paper cut artist, and this is a heaven and I think this is a heaven and earth the title, but I thought it really juxtaposed well.
But also, this is just so abstract.
Yeah.
And then this is another form of abstraction too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is Yujin's work. So Yujin's Berlin days,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's from 2011, long time ago. I'd spent like a whole 2 or 3 years just drawing explosions.
This
was another gallery
Was
that
another
was near the
gallery?
palace.
No, but I put it there because it's also charcoal, and so and it's on work on paper and kind of went well with the abstraction of that. Yeah, because I think the whole series was like the smoke, explosion, cloud. What is it, right? Like you can't really see it, and
There was
So, yeah.
at the time actually there was also like Middle Eastern war going on, and there were a lot of I think it actually connects well with Seungang's work because I was getting all these media images of the war, the explosion that's so destructive, and like obviously many lives were lost. But somehow, if you're not there and experience it from far away, it's just an image. It's just an image that you consume and then you forget and you move on. And the next image comes and you consume and you move on. And I just felt like I wanted to extend that time with that image. And I thought drawing is a good way to do that. Because the thing that I love about drawing is like you really can sense a time more than a painting, I think. A painting is more about the gesture, the shape of the color, but drawing is like, and especially this kind of technique-based drawing, the question I always get is how long did it take you to make it? Yeah, it's a very like kind of naive question, but at the same time it says a lot about what a drawing experience is to people. So I did that, like that's why I also did it for like 3 years, because I felt like that kind of engagement with that image was like very powerful to me. But the other thing is like if the audience don't recognize that, then it's just a representative image of an explosion. But actually many people really love this piece, so I made 100 of them. And I think I sold half of them like to different people, and it was very cheap. Like I was just graduated from college, so so people really love the abstraction of it. And
What is the title for all 100 of them?
this is called telescope series.
Okay.
So the idea of like looking at something through a telescope, and it also has this idea of like there's also there was also criticism about war tourism at the time. So people will actually go, like they would in the Middle East take people where you can see the explosion happening. Yeah, and it was news. Like I saw, So this idea of consuming news, and even in the real in that moment, was like something that I was thinking of.
This is a little piece by Kenny Rivero, because since we're talking about the work on paper, so I mean he's a painter, but his drawings are really good, and we have actually a really nice painting of his, but it's in the storage right now. But so I kind of wanted to have this still included in the in our home. And basically, he's a Dominican American artist, and he talks about a lot about like identity as Dominican American living in Manhattan, and I thought Upper Manhattan, like Washington Heights area, right, particularly. And so, but this is, I think, it's a very poetic little piece, like a street scene. So after we acquired his work from like this gallery soon which closed. The work that we acquired was like part of that group exhibition the gallery had. And I mean, Jay and I loved his work. So we like just we saw it and we were like, okay, we'll get this. And then at the time, like Charles Moffett Gallery just opened and they had a solo show with Kenny Rivero. But I mean, Charlie just opened his, gallery. And he didn't have a lot of stuff left as well. But I mean, a few like a year later, he just became too big, and then we couldn't afford this painting anymore. So we were like, okay, maybe we can just buy smaller ones.
He's also teaching at Yale.
Yeah. Did he go to Yale? He
didn't
go to Yale. Okay. Yeah. But he's a really we really like his work. So Korean artist. This is actually the second work that I acquired of her works. I actually have total like 5 works of her. I really like her. Yeah, big fan. But just like the way she portrays women, and I guess like the contemporary like women living as a woman in Seoul and like in Korea. The first one that I purchased was like a woman squatting and peeing on the, so which I have upstairs
on the street.
On the street. So not as like radical, but I think just her works, like her like painting technique and everything is very beautiful and kind of fits in well here. This is Cha Jae-min again. So this is one of the studies for her video work. And then Paula Rego is one of my favorite artists. She's a Portuguese British artist. I personally feel like she's like the Goya of our time. Used print as one of her main mediums. So this is etching, and she's known for her figurative works are known for portraying women in a very like sturdy and strong figure, but at the same time she shows the vulnerability of being a woman. So her abortion series is very, very famous. Like she depicts women, having abortion or right after having abortion, in like psychological and physical pain. But I thought this was also really interesting because it's kind of like she's reading, but I don't know, like the hand is like super big. Someone's thinking. The face expression, and I think that's like the etching. You can see all the lines and the draftsmanship that she's greatly known for. So I really like this piece. This is another Aki.
Wow.
Yeah, Aki Sasamoto's early work in New York. She had this performance in this very small gallery space, and I saw it like.
We're up here.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's this was a door, but she built like this wall in this gallery, and then the wall would like continuously move forward as she was performing, and then she would go in and out of this door as she like opened and shut.
This door.
No, this was the whole thing was a
main
door.
door.
Yeah, main
Okay,
door.
yeah.
Yeah, and then she would peek in from inside to outside. She splashed coffee on it, and like there's a narrative. And the way she made this was like she was making circles like this. She's talking about romance and pockets of relationship.
You can see it in the online. I think it's very beautiful performance.
It is. Yeah.
It's also quite funny because as the wall moves, like it pushes the audience out
outside
onto the street.
And then
so that's
towards
how
the
it
end,
ends.
she's like, "Yes, go home now," and then she shuts down the shutter.
So I always love the humor in the work.
Yeah. So,
Sometimes the content is quite heavy, but then there's always this kind of humor that makes you laugh again.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's just a funny guy.
Put this up because, like I guess she's little, so I don't want her to like hold knife and stuff. Earlier works another artist who mainly work on paper. And this particular series is it's right after she moved to Berlin, and then she realized in Berlin, the students don't have debts because everything's paid for by the government. And I was like, what's going on? Are they watching a movie in the library? Then it was the explosion happening, and she was sitting here, and then she was like, "Oh!" Every print is a bit unique because this is it was the what